Hey class, it's Mrs. N, and I spoke with your sub today and heard that you were having trouble with writing the equations of lines. So I'm making this video, hope that it's not too wiggling. I'm just holding my phone with my hand here, but I'm going to use number 9 from the homework sheet to try to show you how to figure out the equations of lines. So turn to that page and you'll see a shape of a logarithmic graph that looks like this. Here's what you want to do. Just don't follow along by writing, just watch the video and make sense of it and then try this on your own. I am going to take this log graph and I'm going to draw right here what it looks like when y is equal to log of x. Okay, so without any kind of translation, after all the work that we do, we're going to end up with some kind of base right here, something that shows x has moved left or right a certain amount and then up or down a certain amount. But for right now, that's for our introduction, just look at the function y equals log of x. If we look at the function y equals log of x, we see that every point on this graph, this function right here, the graph goes through 1, 0, and it has a vertical asymptote at 0. So that's good information. Anytime we see a vertical asymptote, we know that 1 to the right of it is going to be 1, 0. That's going to help us here. Look at this graph. We have a vertical asymptote, and 1 to the right of it is going to be basically this reference point, what was 1, 0, having switched over. So now let's look at how much has this translated from the original 1, 0 to its new coordinates. It's moved over to the right 1, 2, 3. That means that x has moved over to the right, so we're going to subtract 3 from it. And then the whole function has shifted down. How many? Just 1. So we're going to shift the whole function down 1. Okay? Now, the next thing we're going to do, the last thing we're going to do is look at what base is this. If it says log of x and it's not spoken or written that the base is given to you, then it's going to be base 10. However, you can't just assume anything is base 10 when you're writing the equation of a graph. Here we really have to look at the shape of this graph. And the easiest or clearest way that might help us in explaining this is if we take a look at the reflection of this over the line y equals x. Okay. The reason we're going to look at the reflection of it is because I want to take a look at this function, the exponential function, where we have a to the x equals y. Okay, so if a is raised to 0 power, anything raised to the 0 power is going to give us 1. So if x is 0, y is going to be 1. X is 0, y is going to be 1. We know all exponential functions, basically, when they're not translated, follow this. Now let's pretend that, in fact, we don't have to pretend. We'll just write this down right here. If the base is raised to 1 degree, it's going to be a. Okay. Now let's take a look at this graph right here. If we look at this graph, it has gone from this 1, 0, 1, 2, 3 over before it crosses the next line up. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 and cross this line over here to try to keep the shape of this graph. This is the graph. I've tried to keep some key points here, right here. So we've shifted it over so you can see. Now I'm going to translate this. I'm going to reflect this over the line y equals x so you can see the equivalent of it in its exponential form. So instead of being at 4, 1, we're going to go to 1, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Okay, so our exponential function, that is the reflection, the inverse function of this graph right here. If we look here, when it goes over 1, it went up 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that tells us that a raised to the 1 power is 4. So what do you think a is? A is going to be 1. I'm sorry, a is going to be 4 because 4 was raised to the 1 power. How do you use this information without having to go through all this work? Well, take a look at that graph. This is the 1, 0. Go up 1 and look at how far it's gone right here compared to the vertical asymptote. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gone. Then that's going to be our base right there. All right. I hope that helps. And if you have any questions about it, call me. Or I will see you on Monday, and hopefully you'll have sorted through this and watched it enough that it starts making sense. Okay, thanks.